January 6th, 2026, a candidate challenge was filed with the Buncombe County Board of Elections by Ms. Tina Lunsford, alleging that Victor L. Mormon, a candidate for the sheriff in the Republican primary election to be held on March 3rd, 2026, did not meet the following constitutional or statutory qualifications: changed from Democrat to Republican, and has not met the 90-day wait period, disputing dates. It should be noted that this completed candidate challenge form should not be considered evidence in this case. It is simply an allegation made by the challenger. This challenge alleges a violation of North Carolina General Statute 163-106.1. No person shall be permitted to file as a candidate in a party primary unless that person has been affiliated with that party for at least 90 days as of the date of that person filing such notice of candidacy. On January 6th, 2026, Director Duncan notified this board of this candidate challenge. This board then proceeded to set a hearing for this challenge to be heard today, January 20th, 2026. On January 7th, 2026, I signed the order of the proceeding for this hearing. That same day, election staff notified all parties concerned via email and certified mail of this order. At this time, is there a motion to admit the candidate challenge form received January 6, 2026, and the order of proceeding dated January 7th, 2026 into record?
So moved.
Thank you. And a second, Mary Ann. All in favor of admitting these documents for record, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, those records will be submitted for recording. Parties to this hearing were given the deadline of 5 p.m., January 17th, 2026, to deliver their witness lists and evidence. Both parties complied with this deadline. No subpoenas or depositions were ordered in these proceedings. For this hearing today, the candidate has the burden of proof and must show by a preponderance of the evidence of the record as a whole that he is qualified to be a candidate for office. Preponderance of the evidence means providing something is more likely true than not. Like tipping a scale slightly in your favor, over 50% probable. It's the standard of proof in most civil cases, requiring evidence that is more convincing, not necessarily absolute certainty, to show a fact is true. As previously described in the order of proceedings, we will start with opening statements. Both sides have the option to give an opening statement, which may not exceed 3 minutes, starting with the challenged candidate, Mr. Mormon. The clerk has a timer that will show you yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red light when your time is up. I will remind members of the panel, both parties and the audience, that opening statements are not evidence. They are a preview of the case, outlining what each side contends the evidence will show, serving to help this panel understand the upcoming testimony and exhibits. We will then move into the presentation of evidence, starting then first with Mr. Mormon, then moving to Ms. Lunsford. This will be a time to offer any evidence, and this panel will then determine if such evidence will be admitted into the record. At this time, witnesses may also be called. Witnesses will be placed under oath, questioned, may be cross-examined by the other party, and may be questioned by this panel. Only admitted evidence and sworn testimony may be considered by this panel. If there is a disagreement among the panel members on the admission of the piece of evidence, a vote shall be taken and the majority will decide. Additionally, any person who is present at this hearing and has relevant information concerning the subject of this challenge may request that the panel permit them to offer sworn testimony or evidence. Once each side has presented their case in chief, they will be permitted to make an optional closing statement not to exceed 2 minutes. Now, members of the gallery, if you know that you wish to be heard by this panel to offer relevant testimony or evidence, please raise your hand and the clerk will give you a piece of paper to write down your name and the relevant testimony or evidence you wish to present. This panel will call you up after both sides have presented evidence. Both sides will be given an opportunity to review any evidence that may be presented. Mr. Mormon and Ms. Lunsford, before we get started with opening statements, are there any questions about what we have gone over so far?
None whatsoever.
Mr. Mormon, do you wish to give an opening statement?
Just like to introduce myself to the panel. My name is Victor Mormon. I'm a candidate for the 2026 upcoming election for sheriff of Buncombe County. Lifelong residents of Buncombe County, and just want to say thank you for allowing me the opportunity to be here for this challenge.
Thank you, Mr. Mormon.
You're welcome.
Ms. Lunsford, would you wish to make an opening statement?
Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you. My name is Tina Lunsford, and I'm the challenger in this matter. I am challenging Vic Mormon's candidacy as a Republican primary candidate for the office of Buncombe County Sheriff. This is a narrow statutory challenge. The question before the board is whether the challenged candidate satisfied the requirement that he be affiliated with the Republican Party for at least 90 days as of the date he filed the notice of candidacy. At this time, Madam Chair, I respectfully request that the board receive the documentary evidence submitted in support of the challenge and reflect in the evidentiary packet previously served on the challenge candidate and provided to the board.
We will consider that after Mr. Mormon presents his case. Anything further, Ms. Lunsford?
Aye.
Thank you. We are now moving into the evidentiary portion of this hearing. As a reminder, now is the time to offer all evidence and testimony you wish to put on the record. All witnesses called will be placed under oath. If either party chooses to testify, this is the time to do so, and you will be placed under oath and open to cross-examination by the other side. Mr. Mormon and Ms. Lunsford, when presenting your evidence, I'd like you to offer one document at a time. Tell us how you acquired this piece of evidence and how it's relevant to your case. The other side may object to the document being offered if they wish, and I will determine if it will be admitted into the record or not. You may choose how you want to present your case. You may present all your evidence first and then call witnesses, if any, or you may offer evidence and call witnesses in any order you choose. If members of this panel object to my decisions or admissibility, they may make a motion to overrule my decision. Members, when a party offers an exhibit, the clerk will pass out a copy of each exhibit to you for your review. After I make a ruling on the admissibility of the evidence, I will ask you to pass that copy down to your left to the clerk to collect, so that we can focus on each individual piece of evidence one at a time as it is being presented. You will receive all admitted evidence back at the end of our deliberation. Mr. Mormon, do you have any evidence to offer or witnesses to call?
I have evidence to offer, but no witnesses to call. I would like to offer candidate Exhibit A, which is the 90-day party affiliation reference sheet for December candidate filing period. It's relevant to the case because it shows that on my party affiliation switch, which was Friday, September the 19th, 2025, it shows that on Thursday, December the 18th of 2025, that would give me the 90 days grace period that I need to cover that time period. Exhibit A. Candidate Exhibit B, which is the voter form for myself
Can-
certified record.
Mr. Mormon, if I could interrupt for just one second, let us handle this
Oh,
one
okay.
piece first.
My apologies.
No problem.
My apologies.
You have it right there in front. Anybody else?
Mr. Mormon, may I ask where you received this document?
I received this document from the Board of Elections, Buncombe County Board of Elections.
Are there any questions of the panel? If not, I recommend that this document be submitted into evidence. It's document A for Mr. Mormon. If everyone will pass this document to your left, please.
We gotta send it back.
Just as a reminder to the party, even if they're not going to be calling separate witnesses, they can call themselves as witnesses.
Just as a note to you both, if you would like to call yourself as a witness, you are able to do that even if you have no other folks to call. So, Mr. Mormon, please proceed. I believe you had document B.
Yes, ma'am. I have candidate exhibit B, which is the voter form. This is relevant to the case because this shows my actual date that I actually switched candidacies. And it's 9/19 of 2025. And it's relevant to the case because it shows the date that I switched my parties, my party affiliation.
So because this is a document from the North Carolina voter registration application, it has been verified and noted that this is an actual document from the DMV and notarized. It is my recommendation that this document be submitted into record. Is there any questions from the panel or discussion? If not, then the document is admitted. Mr. Mormon, do you have?
Yes, ma'am. So candidate exhibit C, which is a 4-page document that shows from September the 25th. It's a calendar months showing from the first day the 90 days started until the end, which is the 18th of December when the 90-day period ended. It's relevant to the case because it shows the 90-day period on calendar days.
And just for information or noted, the calendar is a printed calendar of September of 2025 through December of 2025. And it is my recommendation that this document be admitted as record, as it simply verifies the 90-day period. Any questions? The record is submitted.
So next is the candidate exhibit D, which is the North Carolina Justice Sheriff Standards Division disclosure statement. And this is relevant to the case because it shows that I was able to receive this documentation showing that I am not a convicted felon of any sort. And to also, this hash fingerprints were taken. This documentation had to be present for the date that I actually filed. It had to be present then.
Well, and it's my opinion that because this was required to be submitted at filing, and it's an official document from the North Carolina Department of Justice Sheriff's Standards Division, that it meets the requirements of validity. So it is my recommendation that this document be submitted as record. Please continue, Mr. Mormon.
And last, I have candidate exhibit E, which is the North Carolina Notice of Candidacy form, which this is my actual signing, my filing date, which is 12/18 of 2025. And it's relevant to the case because it shows my actual filing date, and it was notarized by Nathan Spear, however you pronounce his last name. Sorry for the pronunciation.
Because this is an official document and notarized as official notice of candidacy, it is my recommendation that this be submitted in record
As well.
Any questions? Okay.
Thanks.
The document is submitted. Mr. Mormon, do you wish to make any additional comments or testify on? If so,
No, ma'am. I think the evidence speaks loud enough. I think. Thank you.
yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lunsford, do you have any objections to the documents being admitted into evidence?
Evidence.
Just to conclude, Mr. Mormon, you did not call yourself as a witness in your case today, which is perfectly within your rights. The panel will draw no conclusion or inference based on that decision. I just want to make sure that you know that it is your opportunity to testify if you choose to do so. It is completely optional. Do you wish to testify under oath?
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Lunsford, do you have any evidence to offer or witnesses to call? Right. If you will, sorry. So if you will, present Exhibit A, Ms. Lunsford, please.
My exhibit A is the State Board of Elections voter search record. It confirms that voter registration number 478368 belongs to Dick Mormon, establishing that all subsequent records in the packet pertain to the same individual.
Seeing that this is a document from the North Carolina State Board of Elections and Voter Search document, I see no reason that
And
it
that
should not be submitted
Submitted
as evidence.
evidence.
Any questions? Okay,
Okay.
document will be submitted. Ms. Lunsford?
Exhibit B is Buncombe County's published candidate filing information. It states that candidates in partisan contests must be registered with a recognized political party for at least 90 days at the time of filing the notice of candidacy.
This is a document, a county document stating qualifications and requirements to run for a particular office. So it is my recommendation that this be submitted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Lunsford, please.
Exhibit C on page 4 contains the State Board of Elections official 2025 party change records as reflected in the State Board of Elections voter registration system for the same voter registration number documented the dates on which party affiliation changed.
Are there any questions
Questions?
about this document?
Madam Chair, the only question I have is with respect to the definitions of the data items in this piece of evidence. Data items such as county ID, county name, year change, voter reg num, party from, party to, and most importantly, change date. I don't know the definition of change date. I don't know if it is a transaction date when the file was changed, or if it is supposed to reflect the date that the community member changed their registration. Do you have any information about that data item?
This is from the state board.
And when
I talked to Paul,
when
he
he
looked into
to it,
that, yes, it is the date that he filed on.
the 22nd of September,
According
according to the
state.
Thank you.
Any objections to submitting this document into record? Hearing none, the document will be submitted. Ms. Lunsford.
Yes, and then I have exhibits D and E.
E.
Our county maintains CROs 2100A filings. These are not notice of candidacies and are offered for contextual purposes only, reflecting contemporaneous committee records.
My recommendation that we submit this document into record. Yes, ma'am.
And finally, Exhibit F on page 10 is the candidate's signed notice of candidacy dated December 18th, 2025, for which the candidate certifies that he has been affiliated with the Republican Party for at least 90 days of the date filed. The dates reflected in these exhibits establish the time frame the board must evaluate when applying the statutory 90-day requirement as the filing date. Based on these official records, the board is asked to determine whether the statutory requirement was satisfied as of the filing date. I am not asking the board to
Madam
assess
Chair,
intent
This
or
would be appropriate
credibility.
after.
Okay, stop. I'm sorry. Stop for just 1 second.
Second, please.
This is either testimony for which she needs to be sworn in, or it qualifies more as a closing statement, which would be appropriate after a rebuttal if the chair is allowing a rebuttal.
So if you
I'm
can,
sorry, that's
no,
okay.
if you can hold that, if
Yes,
you
no
want to make
problem.
that your
Yes, I can.
closing statement,
No
then
problem.
I will need to swear you in for you to be able to do that.
No, ma'am. I'm
All
in
right.
this for a
So
problem.
if you'll come over to this
Yeah,
seat so I can swear you in.
okay.
Did you want
Swear
these
me
back?
in.
And may I have these back, please?
So do you want me to continue?
You're reading
what I had?
Bring it. Yes,
Okay.
please.
Um,
I think that's,
Belinda, I think there was some miscommunication about D and E. Ms. Lunsford was presenting them together. We only handed out D.
right.
So we'll hand out E now
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
have that be admitted or
I
not.
was gonna say, because I have
hang on to that
F.
for now?
Yeah, hey, well.
I'll hang on to
Where
F.
he was.
We've
Yeah,
seen
okay, you can
F
hang
in
on to
this
those.
one,
Thank you.
so We just gotta take a look at it. Yeah, it's the same document.
So it's my recommendation that Exhibit E also be submitted
Into
into
the
the record.
record.
Same as D.
All right, so here's this
This
first.
first.
It's E. It's E.
And then here's,
So Amy, just.
just for my clarification,
I need to bring her over.
We're in Heather's-
Be sworn in to testify.
If that's what Ms. Lunsford chooses to do, testimony is typically reserved for factual statements, and conclusory statements or summaries are reserved for closing arguments. So it's up to Ms. Lunsford if she believes these are factual statements or just concluding on all of the documents that she submitted.
I'm just continuing on those documents that I submitted, so I can.
Then I'll let you wait until your closing.
Sounds great. Thank you, ma'am.
My apologies.
No.
I was
You're good.
reading the document and let
You're
it get
teaching me.
ahead of me, so I apologize. Mr. Mormon, do you have any objections to any of the documents being submitted into record?
I do not.
So at this, I guess at this time, we would allow for closing.
Yes, and you would start with the challenge with the candidate.
Mr. Mormon, if you would like to offer a closing statement, you have 2 minutes to do so if you wish to do that.
Not necessary.
All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ms. Lunsford, would you like to make a closing statement? Please limit to 2 minutes.
Okay. Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for the opportunity to close. This challenge turns on a single narrow question. Is it whether the challenge candidate satisfied the statutory requirement that he had been affiliated with the Republican Party for at least 90 days as he filed for the candidacy? The question is elevated based on the official voter registration record maintained by the State Board of Elections, regardless of any steps the candidate may have taken, and whether those steps resulted in an effective change on the record. The evidence before the board establishes 3 undisputed points. First, the standard, the statute. Buncombe County's published candidate filing information and the candidate's own notice of candidacy all use the same language. 90 days at the time of filing. Non-reference business days, exemptions, or approximate. Second, the filing date. The notice of candidacy is signed and dated December 18th, 2025. Third, the official party change record. The State Board of Elections official party change data reflects September 22nd, 2025 as the effective date of the candidacy change to Republican affiliation. Measured backwards from the filing date using calendar days, the 90-day threshold falls before September 22nd. On the date, the official state record still reflects a different party affiliation. This case does not ask the board to assess intent, credibility, or motive. It asks the board to apply clear statutory requirement to the official record, including the candidate's own signature certification. Based on the evidence presented, I respectfully submit the statutory 90-day party affiliation requirement was not satisfied as the filing date. For that reason, I ask the board to grant the challenge. Thank you very much.
So at this time, first, thank you, Ms. Lunsford.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Mormon.
You're welcome.
And we will move into deliberation
And
and discussion
discussion
about
of
this
this
matter.
matter.
Are we able to have have copies of our exhibits at this point?
Whatever they'd like.
I'd like to see them now again.
All of them or?
Yes, just.
You all like it?
Yeah, may as well.
Let's do it.
Please silence your phones.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Mhm.
Or when you've had time
To
to
review.
review the documents, if you'll signify to me so that we can
Can-
proceed with our deliberations.
Good.
Courtney, are you? Would anyone like to
Well, hang on to them for now.
share?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is pretty much the same as the first question I asked. Everything in this particular challenge is reduced to dates and when certain things occurred. And I understand that Ms. Lunsford used publicly available data as the basis of her complaint. Makes all the sense in the world. The difficulty that I'm having is that the original documents do not agree with the state database. We have a document, North Carolina voter registration application, a DMV agency form, and it is dated Friday, September 19th. And the challenger is suggesting that the actual date should have been 3 days later. It looks to me as if someone did a filing on Friday and somebody put it in the database the beginning of the next week. That doesn't make the effective date the beginning of the next week. The effective date is when that application is accepted by the North Carolina government. The Department of Motor Vehicles is a department of the North Carolina state government. And this document indicates September 19th. So if that is beyond dispute, I really don't see the real question here. Now, if that September 19th date is not accurate, we got something to talk about. But I really have no way of doing that research myself. So I just want to put it out there that everything hinges on, was this a Friday or the following Monday that this transaction occurred? And once we get that settled, I think we can answer this challenge. I've said enough.
Thank you, Jake, and Madam Chair, thank you. I'm certainly agree with everything Jake said. I think that really is the crux of this issue. I don't know what the law says about this official State Board of Elections database versus what we see in front of us where the filing actually occurred, which is the 18th. So I need some clarity on that if we can get it.
Sure. What I can tell you is that under North Carolina Statute 163-82.17, which specifically addresses change of party affiliations, the board has a duty to make the change, let's see, as soon as practical. So it does not give a specific date. It doesn't say that the database is the controlling date because it does give some wiggle room for bureaucracy to move forward. So you aren't given a hierarchy of which dates
Great.
are appropriate, but it does, the board is given, Election Services is given some wiggle room.
The other comment that I would make to the board is once the candidate files and the document is dated, it leaves the candidate's hands.
Right.
It is not
his
within his ability to affect those changes, that those occur, to the attorney's point, in a process way, and they're the bureaucracy of how those dates change. So any other comment?
The only comment I can make is that as a board, we have to consider when that registration was actually filed. And what we have as notification from the state is it was filed on the 22nd. That's all we have from the state.
Actually, that's not the case. From the North Carolina Department of Motor Vehicles Agency, we have a form that said it was filed on September 19th. And this is their form. This is all.
I agree with you.
This is all
but
printed
it's
out.
an application.
I'll tell you, this is why I asked the question during the presentation.
Agreed.
Having spent my career in data world, a huge difference between transaction date and effective date. And unfortunately, that's not being documented here. So in any case, I'm hoping that at some point we can explain the difficulty this poses to the board, to our friends at the state.
I could just further clarify that 163-82.17 subsection D indicates that if a registrant applies to change party affiliation or unaffiliated status later than the last day, then they shall not be entitled to vote. So voter registration is the same. So the application seems to be the operative date, not the processing date.
Thank you. Thank you very much. That's a very important clarification, and it makes sense. So I love it when it makes sense and we do it. Thank you.
Just one more thought about what Jake said. This is just more, we need, if we go on today and make our determination, which we will, I think this would be important for the state board to know that the particular way they've entered this, if they would put date of filing, that would fix this. They could go back, they could enter it on Monday, the 22nd, but they put on their date of filing so that everyone is aware of what that date is.
Sally, I might be mistaken, but I think that Ms. Lunsford acted in good faith, believing that the data that was disclosed publicly was in fact accurately reflecting not the process date, but the transaction date. So we thank you. You're helping reveal a little data glitch that I think we might be able to address going forward.
The election board in Raleigh would follow. Yes.
Right. Thank you.
Right.
I render my decision.
The board's decision, you'll need to take a vote. There's a motion.
Okay, I'll make a motion. I will make a motion that we deny the challenge based on the fact that the documentation reveals that the candidate filed timely in terms of changing their party registration, and that it was unfortunate that the state database didn't reflect it, but it was highly valuable having the original documents photocopied that we could use to make our decision. That's a fairly long motion.
Yeah.
I can
We need to
abbreviate that
clean
if
it
you'd
up.
like.
No, it's all right. All in favor?
Second.
I'm
I'll
sorry.
second it.
All in favor?
Somebody waving their
Hang on
hand.
just one second. Did you submit your name as a witness or additional information? Then I can't accept additional testimony.
Testimony at this time.
Also, you closed the hearing and went on to deliberation.
We've already closed the hearing.
Great.
All right, we have a motion and a second.
Second.
All in favor of denying the challenge, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
I'm just going to abstain because I don't understand the difference in these. We've had issues with, as we call it, motor voter before. And if we don't have a person registered in time, they don't get to vote. Even if they went through the application at the DMV.
But that
I
is
don't-
Registration.
But we've had people that didn't get onto the state registration, so they didn't get to vote. Because, and it may be, as Jake says, it may be a problem with DMV, but I don't know how we can say, in one case, we're gonna take the date that the state puts on the registration, and then in another case, we're not.
Well, some of that is we'd have to hear, we would have to hear that directly, and it would have to be, I think, in a form of a protest if someone felt like they didn't get to vote and they had
Well, no, but I mean,
registered. So, for this
we've had
particular
people that have
case,
been turned down at the polls.
right, but
you know.
that's really not about this case,
Well,
in
it's
my
about the same
opinion.
concept of, do we take the DMV number,
If
or do we
somebody
take the
came,
state board number?
right, but if someone came and protested that, we'd have the same consideration that we're doing today. But since we don't have that, and only that we have a challenge in front of us, then for this particular situation, it seems to me that it's pretty clear.
And what-
And if I'm not mistaken, Amy, it does say the date of application.
Application.
It does say that, and I believe you only have to have a majority, not a complete consensus to address this challenge.
But when we saw the discrepancy in the dates, I mean, I knew that had to be the problem with this. And that's really what it is. And I'm really sorry for Ms. Lunsford, because she was believing what she read on the state database and good faith. It's just one of those things.
Okay, the motion carries 4-1. Hearing is adjourned.
Right. And
We
you
will
want these
take
materials back?
a short recess.
I think you should, that an order will be prepared at a maximum of 20 days, but we'll do it as quickly as we possibly can.
An order will be prepared within 20 days, at a maximum of 20 days, reflecting this decision.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we will return for the second hearing in 15 minutes at 3:45.
Here's mine too.
Enter the date.
Absolutely.
They should. The application date. Should be date, not the date they entered it.
Noon. This hearing is called to order at 3:45 today, Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. The following people are present: Mary Ann Brain, Jake Quinn, Courtney Blossman, Sally Stein, Corinne Duncan, Gabrielle Corey, Antoinette Mosley, John Mile, and Amy Broughton is here as the county attorney. In addition, we also have a court reporter, Beth Ketch, in the room today making record of these proceedings. This is an open hearing, so members of the public are also present in the room. Since the hearing is open to the public, I'd like to remind those observing this hearing to please remain quiet and respectful of these proceedings. I'm also going to just give you a few housekeeping notes. If you need to exit the room, please exit to the back to your right. No standing or blocking of the aisles. There are overflow rooms that are currently open for folks that come in now that the seats are full in this room. And also, please take a moment to silence your cell phones before we begin. On January 8th, 2026, a candidate challenge was filed with the Buncombe County Board of Elections by Mr. John P. Mile Jr., alleging that, would you prefer that I say your initial or just Antoinette?
Antoinette is fine, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Antoinette Mosley, a candidate for the Asheville City Council primary election, which is to be held on March 3rd, 2026, did not meet the following constitutional or statutory qualifications. It appears from recent news stories that the candidate may not meet residency or eligibility requirements for this position. It should be noted that this completed candidate challenge form should not be considered evidence in this case. It is simply an allegation by the challenger. On January 8th, 2026, Director Duncan notified the board of this candidate challenge, and a hearing date was set for January 20th, 2026. On January 9th, 2026, I signed the order of proceedings for this hearing. That same day, election staff notified all parties concerned via email and certified mail of this order. At this time, is there a motion to admit the candidate challenge form received January 8th, 2026, and the order of proceeding dated January 9th, 2026 into record?
So moved.
May I have a second? Second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Parties to the hearing were given the deadline of 5 p.m., January 17th, 2026, to deliver their witness list and evidence. Both parties complied with this deadline. No subpoenas or depositions were ordered in this proceeding. For this hearing today, the candidate has the burden of proof and must show by preponderance of the evidence of the record as a whole that she is qualified to be candidate for this office. Preponderance of the evidence means proving something is more likely than not, like tipping a scale slightly in your favor, over 50% probable. It's the standard of proof in most civil cases, requiring evidence that is more convincing, not necessarily absolute certainty, to show a fact is true. Because this challenge is based on residency, the candidate must show all of the following by a preponderance of the evidence: an actual abandonment of the first domicile, coupled with an intent not to return to the first domicile, the acquisition of a new domicile by actual residence at another place, the intent of making the newer domicile a permanent domicile. As previously described in the order of proceedings, we will start with opening statements. Both sides have the option to give an opening statement, which may not exceed 3 minutes, starting with the challenged candidate, Ms. Mosley. The clerk has a timer that will show you a yellow light when you have 30 seconds remaining and a red light when your time is up. I will remind members of the panel, both parties and the audience, that opening statements are not evidence. They are a preview of the case outlining which contends the evidence will show, serving to help this panel understand the upcoming testimony and exhibits. We will then move into presentation of evidence, starting first with Ms. Mosley, then moving to Mr. Mile. This will be the time to offer any evidence, and this panel will then determine if such evidence will be admitted into the record. At this time, witnesses may also be called. Witnesses will be put under oath, questioned, may be cross-examined by the other party, and may be questioned by this panel. Only admitted evidence and sworn testimony may be considered by this panel. If there is a disagreement among the panel members of the admission of a piece of evidence, a vote shall be taken and the majority will decide. Additionally, any person who is present at this hearing and has relevant information concerning the subject of the challenge may request that the panel permit them to offer sworn testimony or evidence. Once each side has presented their case in chief, they will be permitted to make an optional closing statement not to exceed 2 minutes. Now, members of the audience, if you know that you wish to be heard by the panel to offer relevant testimony or evidence, please raise your hand and the clerk will give you a piece of paper to write down your name and the relevant testimony or evidence you wish to provide. This panel will call you up after both sides have presented evidence. Both sides will be given an opportunity to rebut any of the evidence that you may present. Is there anyone that wishes to add your name to the list? Okay. All right, Ms. Mosley, Mr. Mile, before we get started with opening statements, are there any questions about what I have gone over just now?
No.
Ms. Mosley, do you wish to present an opening statement?
I do, Madam Chair.
Okay. If you would like to proceed with your 3-minute opening statement, you are invited to do so.
Okay. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Members of the board, thank you for the care and time you bring to this process. I understand the responsibility you carry, and I respect the role you play in protecting the integrity of our elections. This challenge asks a single, narrow legal question: whether I meet the residency requirements to be a candidate for Asheville City Council. The evidence before you answers that question clearly and decisively. North Carolina law looks at 3 things: abandonment of a former domicile, acquisition of a new one by actual residents, and intent to make that resident permanent. The record will show all 3. I returned to Asheville in 2016 and reestablished my home at 3 Devonshire Place. I registered and voted here. I obtained and maintained a North Carolina driver's license. I paid taxes here. I have consistently identified Asheville as my domicile. I was appointed in 2020 and elected in 2022 using the same address because it is my home. I have never claimed any other place in North Carolina as my permanent residence. I have never wavered in where I belong. What is before you today is not a close call. The challenge rests on speculation drawn from news articles. In contrast, I have provided sworn affidavits, government records, and contemporaneous documents that show where I live, where I am registered, and where I intend to remain. The law does not require that a person sleep every night in a single structure. It asks where a person's life is rooted. My life is rooted in Asheville. It has been for years, and it remains so today. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that you dismiss the challenge and allow my candidacy to proceed. Thank you for your careful and thoughtful consideration.
Thank you, Ms. Mosley. Mr. Mile, do you wish to make an opening statement?
Is it on?
I think it's on.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
thank you. You did it. Madam Chair, members of the board, Madam Vice Mayor, and Council Ellison, whom I've not seen in a very long time. It is, it's a serious issue. I entered into this not knowing exactly what to think, and I'll be honest, I'm still at that stage now. I've learned a great deal. But I think the issue of residency is in fact the issue here. How Ms. Mosley has lived and where she's lived and the things she has done, we will show, at the very least, leaves us with a very conflicting view of where's home. We will show with evidence and testimony that she does in fact have a home in Kenilworth section. I think it's number 3 Devonshire, I think. But it appears she has not been able to live there for some time due to damage to the home. As recently as last year, she had to lease a place to live. I would agree with her statement that there's no requirement that we sleep every night in the same 4 walls. I understand that. But with her financial record on homestead exemptions in another state, being registered to vote in another state while she's been here at the times, and voting in both states on at least one occasion, represents a very mixed picture of what's residence. Where does Ms. Mosley live? Where are her roots? And that's what we'll try to address today.
Thank you, Mr. Mile. We'll now move to the case in chief. This is the evidentiary portion of the hearing. As a reminder, now is the time to offer all evidence and testimony you may wish to put on the record. All witnesses called will be placed under oath. If either party chooses to testify, this is the time to do so, and they will be placed under oath and open to cross-examination by the other side. Ms. Mosley and Mr. Mile, when presenting your evidence, I'd like you to offer one document at a time. Tell us how you acquired this piece of evidence and how it is relevant to your case. The other side may object to the document being offered if they wish, and I will determine if it will be admitted into the record or not. You may choose how to present your case. You may present all your evidence first and then call witnesses, if any, or you may offer evidence and call witnesses in any order you choose. If members of this panel object to a decision on admissibility, they may make a motion to overrule my decision. Members, when a party offers an exhibit, the clerk will pass a copy of each exhibit to you for your review. After I make a ruling on the admissibility of that evidence, I will ask you to pass that copy down to your left for the clerk to collect, so that we can focus on each individual piece of evidence one at a time as it is being presented. You will receive all admitted evidence back at the end of our deliberation. Ms. Mosley, do you have any evidence to offer or witnesses to call?
We have evidence to offer. We will offer exhibits. Oh,
Okay. May we start with Exhibit A?
Function as.
If she's planning to testify, yes.
Okay. All right.
Fine.
Ms. Mosley, if you'll come right here, there's a Bible or the state general statutes so that you can be sworn in by placing your right hand on either and raising your left.
and then it's okay for me to read.
Yes, ma'am, you can return. Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give to the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God.
Okay.
My name is Ted.
Ms. Mosley, you're a current resident of Asheville, is that correct?
I am.
You serve on the Asheville City Council.
I do.
Your first time serving on the Asheville City Council?
No, I was appointed in 2020, elected in 2022.
For you to a list of exhibits that you have on, and let you describe what exhibit is. Exhibit A, 2026 Notice of Candidacy. Go ahead.
Yes, I believe I'm to tell you where I got the information.
Yes, and we're going to give each board member a copy of that to review each item at a time so that we give it the due attention that it needs. But please, Ms. Mosley, if you'll continue in your description of this document.
Certainly, Exhibit A, 2026, this is from the Buncombe County Board of Elections. 2026, Notice of Candidacy. Sorry.
Let me ask you.
Hold on just one second, Mr. Ellison, if you can, just one second so I can collect A and get it back.
He's got, okay, so you're fine. Got to collect it back. Do what you do next.
Explain.
Take your time. You already. It's already.
Ms. Bossman, are
All
you
right.
ready for us to? Okay, Exhibit B.
Exhibit B.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on one second. It is my recommendation that Exhibit A be admitted to the records. Thank you. I'm sorry, Mr. Ellison.
Exhibit B.
Exhibit B is the 2022 Notice of Candidacy, showing that I previously was elected at the same applicants.
It's my recommendation that Exhibit B be admitted to the records.
Exhibit C.
Exhibit C is the canceled Georgia voter registration.
Is there a date?
That's 2004, 9/10.
Registration date. I'm wondering if that's the same. That's the same.
You can direct your questions to the candidate to
Mosley,
explain her exhibit.
May Mary Ann ask you a question?
Repeat your question, please. I didn't hear it.
This form gives us the registration date and it says it's canceled, but it doesn't give me a cancellation date. Not as that, so I'm not sure if that's the same date. That 2004 date. You said you were here in 2016, I believe. Maybe just something they don't put on there.
It doesn't appear on the document.
Okay.
The date of cancellation does not appear on the document. Thank you.
Do you happen to know that date yourself?
But I do. It was canceled before I moved in 2016. When I last saw, the last time I voted was 2014.
Thank you very much.
It's my recommendation that this document be admitted into records.
Records.
May I ask one clarifying question,
Sure.
please, Ms. Mosley? Your last record of vote was in 2014?
Yes, when I pulled that, that was the date that was listed. Last full date.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Exhibit C, Mr. Ellison?
Exhibit D, what is that?
That's my North Carolina voter registration.
So I know this is the most recent voter registration card, but if you look at the registration date in the center of the card, it says registration date 9/14/1995.
Yes.
That's when you originally registered as a voter in North Carolina.
Yes, at 3 Devonshire Place. I graduated college in 91, returned to Asheville shortly after college and registered here at that point.
Ask a question. Yeah. Thank you.
It's my recommendation that this document be submitted into the record. Mr. Ellison?
Yes, exhibit E,
That is my North Carolina driver's license.
So this, the real ID.
Yeah.
So issued in June of 25.
Yes.
Prior to that, do you have a record of your previous driver's license?
Would in my car, in my purse.
Just, thank you.
Okay.
It's my recommendation that this be submitted into record. Mr. Ellison?
Exhibit F.
That is my Buncombe County property tax bill.
It's my recommendation that this document be admitted into evidence.
Exhibit G.
That is the Fulton County homestead removal.
Mary Ann?
Can you tell me, the date on this is December 16th, 2025? Is that the date of the request for removal or just the date of the request for letter or?
That was the date that I requested the retroactive removal. The date on the letter is the date of the response to my request.
It's my recommendation that this document be admitted into record.
Exhibit H, you, go ahead.
This is a Mountain Express article. It represents a press release that I prepared.
What year?
2016.
Can I ask a question on this? one?
Certainly, Sally.
When we get ready for you to determine, entering it, I'm wondering what this has to do with our case. Can that be explained a little bit about why this is document?
Provides contemporary contemporaneous acknowledgement of my return to Asheville in 2016. It is a press release that I in fact prepared in my role at MHO in 2016.
Thank you.
Exhibit, oh, I'm sorry.
Hold on just one second.
All right, Ken.
Are there any other questions for the panel? Sally, is there?
No, I'm good.
Are you okay? It's my recommendation that we accept this document into record.
Exhibit I,
Exhibit I is an affidavit of Dr. Dwight Mullen.
It's my recommendation that this affidavit be accepted into the record.
Exhibit J,
Exhibit J is an affidavit of Mrs. Sarah Burdine.
Okay, it's my recommendation that this document be accepted into record.
exhibit K,
So reference photos of 3 Devonshire Place.
Wait, did we? Oh, I'm sorry. We did do, that was Exhibit J, wasn't it? Okay.
ma'am.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
Madam Chair, do you need any explanation of the condition
Sure, please,
presented in those photos?
please.
Those photos were taken shortly after the storm that came through on, I believe, September 27th, 2024. There was an approximate 98-foot tree that fell on a third of my home. It ties to the affidavit from Dr. Mullen, as a matter of fact, where he asked me about the home. So there's structural damage to the home, both outside and inside. The broad photo shows you that the tree is standing out in front of the house for forever. There's also a photograph that illustrates the structural damage to the chimney. And finally, the third photo shows the inside damage to, that is a picture from the dining room of my home. Several holes, and you'll see mold. Making it clear that the home was inhabited as a result.
My recommendation that this document also be submitted into record.
And our last piece is L.
That is a copy of the temporary rental lease I have for temporary lodging close to downtown Asheville.
Ms. Mosley, I have a question here. The lease term began about 2 months prior to Helene.
Yes.
So can you help me understand why you would have been leasing before your house was uninhabited?
Certainly. I entered into a lease there prior to Helene as a result of, it's a personal matter, but I'll go ahead and say since we're here and I have nothing to hide. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. And after being diagnosed with breast cancer, I returned home in 2016 to take care of my elderly father. He was disabled. He was also the victim of significant elder abuse. The abuse was made known to the Asheville Police Department, the DA, as well as Montgomery County. Within a year, I developed breast cancer. And in consultation with my doctor, we had discussions about how it is not uncommon for folks who are caretakers to find themselves ill. Excuse me. At that time, given the circumstances at the home, we decided that I would seek additional treatment away from the chaos here. And after receiving my chemo and radiation, when I returned, I sought a place as respite. And that's when I initially chose that place.
Thank you. I'm sorry about your losses and your illness. I'm still trying to get the dates in my head here. So you're saying that I thought I heard you say that you developed the breast cancer about a year after your father's abuse, which was like in 2017, right? So now 7 years later, though, is when this rental agreement is occurring.
I'm happy. So I had cancer-related surgeries I had 3 cancer-related surgeries each of the next 3 years.
Okay.
Which made that respite again necessary. still living in the family home.
And
Gets us to 2020. My father took ill, went into the hospital, had a viral infection that they couldn't figure out what it was. Lo and behold, COVID takes place. At that point, he goes into rehab. It was during 2020, while everything was shut down, that I decided to apply for city council. Shortly after I was selected, we began receiving threats. I came home one evening and there was a tombstone in my yard. So then the place that I had initially gotten for respite became my place for safety.
again, I'm sorry for what happened. But we're now up to 2020, and this leasing is July of 2025.
I'm happy to continue.
Thank you.
That was not the first instance where safety was an issue. I subsequently had my home ransacked. And by this time, my father had passed. And so after council meetings, if they ended at night, I had a place to go to where I felt safe.
So is this same residency where you have been since 2025? Or 2020, I'm sorry,
So I want to be
basically.
careful here. My domicile is still 3 Devonshire.
Uh-huh.
I spent the majority of my time at 3 Devonshire Place. I had a separate place. Yes.
Thank you. And that place was in Georgia.
No, it's that same place that you're looking at now for the temporary lease.
Got it. The Florence Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Appreciate it.
Any further questions?
That's in Asheville. Lawrence Street is in Asheville.
Any further questions? That's my recommendation to submit this document into record. Yes, Mr. Ellison.
Question.
Yes, sir, please.
Is it your intent to repair your home at 3 Devonshire when you're able to?
Absolutely.
And-
And return.
And never your intent to abandon your
Never.
home? Thank you.
Mr. Mile, you're able to cross-examine.
I would only have one question about testimony thus far. Let me go back to my notes real quickly. No, I will not, no, I don't have any questions. I have evidence that may contradict one or two of the things she'd said. And since that's not introduced at this point, I will withhold questions at this time. Okay.
Thank you. Any further questions from the panel?
Just to be clear, Mr. Miles said he was going to withhold questions at this time. This is the time. Like we will not have another opportunity to cross-examine this witness.
Do you understand that?
Yep.
No.
Yeah, well, you either have to ask questions of Ms. Mosley now in cross, or will not be allowed to do that later.
Okay. I will ask the chair to tell me if I'm out of order the way I'm phrasing this, because I'm addressing something not in evidence. So
But yeah, go ahead and ask the question, and then I'll look over here, and if I get an icky face, then we don't answer.
for
How this
some,
works.
the question would be, Ms. Mosley, for some period of time, you have also owned a home in Fulton County, Georgia, and took advantage of something there over several years called a homestead exemption. And I'm looking at a record that the board will momentarily have that shows on December 16th of 2025, you requested the Fulton County Board of Assessors to stop the homestead exemption retroactively to 2018. And I guess my question would be, if you're domiciled in Asheville, why up until 2025, December 16th of 2025, were you still claiming a homestead exemption and then had it stopped retroactive to 2016?
That was the question.
Certainly, and thank you for asking that. That was an administrative matter that has since been settled.
Can you elaborate on that?
That is an issue related to tax and not domicile. And at my request, it has been retroactively removed. So as I sit here today, I do not have a homestead exemption on the property in Atlanta going back years.
Follow-up question.
Mr. Mile?
Just for total clarity, because I don't understand a lot of what I've looked at. But if you were filing for an annual homestead exemption in Fulton County for a home you own there, the question becomes, why did you wait until 2025, December 2025, at which time you'd already been a member of council for almost 5-6 years, to stop claiming a homestead exemption in Fulton County? The why is the issue.
Because that's when it was brought to my attention, and immediately upon having it brought to my attention, I requested that it be retroactively removed.
I will have other questions on this subject, but I think that covers it at this time.
You just won't be able to address them directly to Ms. Mosley.
Well, this is very, okay. Was the homestead exemption, was that something that was done once and automatically reviewed by Fulton County tax assessor every year, or did it require you to apply for that homestead exemption annually?
No, it was once, I suspect, at the closing of the property 25 plus years ago, and it renews automatically unless removed. Unless the request is made to remove.
You did mention that it was brought to your attention was the reason you did it and made it retroactive.
Just like you, I saw it in the paper.
How did it come to your attention?
In the paper.
That's it for now. That's it on that line.
Panel, any further questions of this witness?
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Mosley and
Yeah.
Mr. Ellison.
And we-
I appreciate your time.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Oh, okay. All right, at this time, Mr. Mile, if you would be prepared to present your evidence.
Yes, and as I understood it, and again, I ask you to tell me if I understood it wrongly, that we can introduce the evidence piece at a time, or I may call a witness, in which case could I introduce evidence as we go through that testimony?
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Then I would like to call Heather Boyd as a witness.
Heather, if you will come to the witness table, please. Place your right hand on the Bible or the general statutes and raise your left hand, please.
Please.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you shall give in to the board shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God. Thank you.
Heather, I thank you for taking your valuable time to be here today. For the record, until about an hour and a half ago, had we ever met before? Okay. Until yesterday, had we ever spoken by phone before? No, okay. You reside where?
Miss Heather moved to the witness table,
I'm
so that
sorry,
way,
Heather, can you move over here to this speaker?
it's just so we can make sure we
Just
get,
so we can make sure it's recorded and heard. Or heard and recorded. Got that out of
Do
order.
we need to repeat that with her on the mic? Okay.
Yes, please. I think that would probably be best.
It might be helpful if everyone would lean forward just a little bit so that everyone can hear properly. Thank you.
Go ahead, John.
Ms. Boyd, the question was, prior to today, have we ever met before?
No, not in person.
And prior to yesterday, have we ever spoken by phone before?
We had not spoken by any means.
So it'd be safe to say we don't know each other at all.
Correct.
Your interest in this is something I'd like to get to quickly. You reside in Transylvania County, it's your home?
Correct.
Are you registered to vote in Transylvania County?
Yes.
Are you registered to vote in any other counties anywhere?
No.
Okay. What is your interest in this? What brought you to me?
So my role in this is limited to identifying and presenting objective, publicly available records relevant to the residency and domicile. I'm not asserting any intent, wrongdoing, or criminal conduct. I'm not advocating for punishment, and I'm asking the board to weigh the sworn and financial records against later explanations under the preponderance of the evidence standard to determine eligibility.
And that from affidavit that you prepared?
That exact wording was not in the affidavit. I wanted to be able to explain it a little bit better, but in the affidavit, it does disclose that I'm a neutral fact witness. And everything that I have is based solely on public records.
Have you had a chance, and since or before January the 8th, when the challenge was filed, have you had an opportunity to research records online in Buncombe County?
Yes.
And I would like to introduce at this point an exhibit. Bear with me, I got to figure out which one it is. This is Exhibit D, Buncombe County voting record. Do we have that one? D as in David. Do you have a copy of this to refer to? This exhibit?
I do not have a copy of that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Ms. Boyd, if you will turn to the last page of that, 3 pages. Does it show well, at least the records you were able to retrieve offline, does it show what's the earliest registration and activity of voting information there?
So it looks like the legacy listed on it goes back to May 7th, 1996.
Okay. And the most recent voting record on page 2 of that document is, am I correct, is 11/5/24 general election.
Correct.
Okay. I would call your attention. You go back to page 3. In Buncombe County, on or about May the 8th, on May the 8th, there was a primary in 2012.
Object to the relevance of this 2012 testimony concerning Buncombe County election. We're dealing with her, a residency issue based on this year's filing for this year's election. And it would seem that a witness ought to be testifying to actual knowledge of something that occurred that is relevant for this particular issue. This is a well-defined issue, the issue of whether or not a person is a resident for the filing of this election, not a historical deal. So I'm going to object to any testimony that is not relevant to her residency for this election.
Madam Chair, you can ask Mr. Mile to give you an offer of proof as to why this is relevant, and then you can make your decision based on Mr. Ellison's objection, based on the information that Mr. Mile gives you, and depending on your ruling, or the board's ruling, excuse me, then you can allow or disallow Mr. Mile from asking further questions on the issue.
I was going to say, Mr. Ellison, I don't know whether it's relevant or not until I hear it. So I'd
Well,
like to,
if it's about 2012, what would the relevance be for residency purposes in 2026?
I can hear it and then object.
Right, fair enough.
Or you can just ask Mr. Mile why it's relevant.
Mr. Mile, would you share, please?
The relevance I seek is to show a history of voting in multiple states, at least in 2012, in 2 states in the same general primary on different dates, and voting sometimes in Fulton County and sometimes in Buncombe County. It's a case of whatever I'm in the mood to do. It doesn't have anything to do with residency. That would be my point. And I can't show that unless I can show the record.
If the board believes that this is relevant to Ms. Mosley's residency, then you can allow Mr. Mile to continue. If you do not believe that it is relevant to Ms. Mosley's residency, then you can ask Mr. Mile to pursue a different line of questioning using different exhibits.
Please.
I'd like to make a motion that we not accept testimony related to historical voting records, historical voting patterns, and that we remain focused on eligibility requirements to run for Asheville City Council in 2026. That's another long-winded motion. I'm sorry.
I'll second it.
Okay, I would like to propose, as part of discussion, before I call for the vote. I do think residency is relevant to this particular conversation because you tend to vote where you live. And if it shows living somewhere else that in some of the dates don't align, then I think we have to ask the question where we live when we vote and where we vote when we live. I think those questions are relevant. So
I can't support that motion because I am interested in the residency and the whole testimony myself.
Well, there's been a lot discussed on this case in the press. And I don't. Okay. Things that I don't view as relevant to this case are anything to do with the Fulton County, Georgia Tax Office. I don't think that the candidate's registration going back to 1996 is all that relevant. I think it's very relevant what has happened in recent time. And the question before this board is, does Ms. Mosley reside in the city of Asheville for the purposes of city-county eligibility? And I have yet to see anything that would suggest that she is not. I understand the questions about homestead and all that kind of stuff, but those aren't issues for this board. Those are issues for an election. You want to bring that stuff up with the community, fine, but this board is focused very, very narrowly on what you have to do to be eligible to run for city council in this municipality. And I really appreciate all the time and effort that the challenger and the candidate have devoted to this. But I have yet to see anything that suggests to me that the candidate is not a resident of the city of Asheville. And it's really that narrow. I understand these other questions, perfectly valid, legitimate questions, but not with respect to eligibility to run for this office. So down off the soapbox. But I would really hope that this board would maintain the narrow focus on eligibility and not get into broader questions. Thank you.
I think part of eligibility is the timeline of ownership of residences in both states, and I would like to hear the testimony to determine that. I think it might be relevant.
I think I'm going to agree with Ms. Blossman on this. We haven't even had an opportunity to see the rest of the evidence that Mr. Miles is going to bring. And so just erring on the side of being careful, I'd say let's keep it as evidence and to not fulfill the objection that has been presented.
Ms. Stein, I agree with you, but I'm hoping that we can focus on the elements that are relevant to a decision that we have to make, as opposed to a story about the candidate or about the candidate's residential history or the candidate's voter registration history. Our question is about residency.
I
And again,
understand
it's
that,
very
and I
narrow.
trust that we will, but I don't think there's any reason to not accept this as evidence either.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I'm going to call the question. We have a motion and a second. All in favor of passing the motion, please signify by saying.
Can it be restated?
Restate the motion.
Okay, I will restate it far more briefly. My motion was to not accept testimony that is not relevant to the residency question. And it was my view that looking at voter registration from 2012 and 2014 was not relevant.
I think the motion is to sustain the objection, which would mean
Right.
that you will allow Mr. Mile to continue with his questioning.
Sustaining would.
So it-
Sustain the objection, and Mr. Mile
Will continue.
Overrule.
If you overrule the objection, then Mr. Mile continues. And if we sustain it, then we don't talk about that 2012.
The motion as presented is to overrule the objection and allow the testimony.
Well, I
to-
believe he was sustaining it. Yeah, he was sustaining it. was
Right.
the-
But my motion was to sustain the objection and not permit that testimony.
We had a second.
Right.
All in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Mr. Mile, please continue.
I believe I was asking Ms. Boyd that, do you see indication on the Buncombe County Board of Elections materials, Exhibit D, as in David, that Ms. Mosley did in fact vote in Buncombe County on May the 8th, 2012?
That is correct.
Okay. I would like to introduce next into evidence
You could, even though it's not happening in the same order, if you could,
Hold on one second.
it's happening a little bit more slowly than it did with Mr. Ellison, but if you could accept the evidence before, or not, before you allow the questioning.
It's my recommendation that we accept this document.
Which one? This one? Okay.
Okay, Mr. Mile, your next piece of evidence.
Yes, I was about to introduce, hold on a minute. I'm looking for the reference on this. It's the one, madam, it's a very voluminous report, Georgia Board of Elections voter search. Do you see that one? Okay, that's the one I'm after. Yes, that's the one. And again, I apologize to the board before we get into this. This is very voluminous, but we're only going to address one or two items out of this. Ms. Boyd, do you have a copy of that to look at?
No, I do not have that one.
This is the one that's up in the top left corner on the front page. It says MVP of that Georgia Board of Elections voter search.
Can I have a copy of the exhibit?
Give her his.
Tell you what we could do if I,
They're quicker than me.
no.
Madam Chairman, is it possible to get a copy? I don't have that copy of what we are looking for. I don't know if anybody else has it.
Yeah.
We able to
Where's our,
get-
yeah, clerk?
It's kind of long. That'll take a little bit.
Give us just 1 second,
Yeah,
Mr. Ellison.
we're trying to find it on Mr. Spire stuff he sent us.
I'm certainly willing to share.
Yeah.
with Jake
we'll
and
look, yeah.
and let you
Here.
have my copy,
Take this one and
just for the sake of time and also.
Take a
share with,
peek
I'll
here.
share with Jake. Yeah. Thank you.
He's gonna tell us which one.
You still need one?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sally, we got to find out.
Yeah.
Sure. He's gonna tell us which one.
Okay, Mr. Mile, I think everyone has a copy if you'd like to share with us,
Okay,
or the page that we need to be referencing.
so we're gonna wait.
No, we gave Mr. Ellison a copy.
Okay, okay. Ms. Boyd, do you have the copy of that in front of you?
I do.
Okay. I would call your attention to the first page. And over in the left corner, it shows registration date. As best I can make that out. 9/15/2004, is that correct?
Yeah, 9/10.
So that's the date you found in the Fulton County, Georgia database, voting database that she was registered to vote, correct?
Correct. And those exhibits have the website, the public records
Okay.
included.
Now, if you'll turn to page page 4 of that document. I think it's the fifth line down on that grid. And it is general primary.
Reading that correct?
If we don't have the pages numbered, and so it's a little complicated here, if we are on the same page, it looks like it's general election, but
1, 2, 3, page 4 maybe?
yeah, they're just not numbered, so
Is that the back page of?
That's
page
what I'm
2?
thinking, yes.
Yes, that's what I'm,
Okay.
but it's definitely difficult to read.
It is.
Yes, it is.
But I can read it.
Your eyes better than mine. I
Had surgery.
And I have
Don't
notes
give me
on
those
the
glasses.
documents that I've made outside of this, so if it's helpful, I'm happy to share that information.
Please, John, if you can go ahead with what the point you were sharing on that page.
I'm sorry, say again?
On page 4, the line you were having us.
Yeah,
reference.
what I had to cheat and make a photocopy of that, and I'm enlarging it so I can be more specific.
Okay.
It is in fact underneath election name, it says general primary, that's line 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There is a line that shows general primary about midway down through that.
That's it.
And
Where
the
is it?
specific
I can't read
date,
We need a magnifying glass. You've got one.
is March 5th. No, it's not that far down. It's only the third item down.
That's
Says
not general.
Presidential primary. My apologies. Presidential primary. And it shows a date of March the 6th of 2012. Do you see that, Ms. Boyd?
Yes.
So does this tell you or anybody else that according to the Fulton County voter registration records, she voted in the general primary in Georgia on that day?
That is correct. Based on the research and public records available, there were 2 years that
Okay.
those findings were there.
And you just previously testified when we were looking at the Buncombe County records for the same year that she voted in the March primary in North Carolina in 2012.
Let me just double check on my dates here. Yes, so in North Carolina, we have the voting history on May 8th, 2012. That was the primary early voting. And then we had November 6th, 2012. That's the general early voting. And then we had November 4th, 2014, and that was the general election, and it was obtained by absentee by mail.
So from your work product, if you compare the Buncombe County voter records that you had access to, everything you could get, and everything you could get from Fulton County, Georgia, does it appear she voted in 2 different states in the same election year of 2012?
The public record documents show that there was voting in both 2012 and 2014.
So in 2 years.
Mhm.
All right. I'm basically done with that document at this time. Now, I'm assuming if we need to refer back to something in here that I've not introduced, we can do that since it's on the record.
I would just ask that it then be
Okay.
redistributed so that everyone has it in front of
Okay.
them. Would you give me your
Thank you.
papers?
It's back.
We need to.
It is my recommendation that this record be admitted, this document be admitted into record. Thank you.
Now, I would like to next introduce, again, it's a very voluminous report, Fulton County Property Records up at the top left. Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you. I'm directionally challenged at the bottom. That is
It's okay.
Challenger
That's why we have
Exhibit I.
Gabrielle. She keeps us all in line.
Which exhibit number is this? Mr. Mile, can you hear me? Mr. Mile, which exhibit number is this?
I'm sorry.
Which exhibit is this?
This is, was correcting myself. It's actually Exhibit I.
Aye, okay.
Fulton County property records.
Ms. Boyd, again, this is a work product you developed, am I correct?
Correct.
Off the internet, Fulton County property record. Let me ask generically, first of all, what is your understanding that there is a practice apparently in Georgia? I don't know if it's statewide or in one county, but there's some practice called a homestead exemption. Could you describe what you've determined that is or is not?
Objection unless she has some actual knowledge to be able to explain the Georgia law, which I think is irrelevant to this hearing. She's giving you a lot of opinion based on something that she's read, but he's asking her to now tell you the Georgia law and interpret the Georgia law. And I think you need an expert to do that from Georgia for this hearing.
And for file purposes, everybody has a copy of those laws in the evidence.
Do you know where in all of this?
I don't, and I apologize. After the
Oh, here.
affidavit, I had reorganized some of the exhibits, so that's where that confusion is coming
I s-
from. I
I see
apologize
that.
for that, John.
There's
Um,
this that says homestead exemptions available in Fulton County.
There's that one, and then it should,
This one. Right.
there should also be the homestead exemption guide
Yeah.
that's from
Yes.
Fulton County, just for reference if needed.
Seen that one. Is that
Again,
in here?
my objection is to her
Okay.
qualification to testify about another state's laws. She is not qualified. She has no personal knowledge. She said all of this information comes from her research on a public record.
And verified records.
I don't care. My objection is the same. Unless there's somebody here from Georgia who verified it, that's going to testify, then that would be fair.
It's my understanding that homestead exemptions are given countrywide, maybe different rules in different states, but a homestead exemption is one where you don't pay as much taxes because you have a certain exemption for a certain amount.
I would
And I
stipulate
think
to that
that's pretty
statement.
open explanation.
I would stipulate to the definition of homestead exemption. That is the statement, but she is not qualified to testify on what the differences are. And she is not a Georgia lawmaker. And she has no qualifications to be testifying about Georgia law. And
Madam-
again, I object to the irrelevance of this. What are we doing talking about Georgia law?
Madam Chair, if I could make a motion?
Sure.
I move that we sustain the objection.
Madam Chair, would it help if I withdraw the question and approach this in a different way? Would that help?
Or I'm happy to share some relevance to that if it's something I can give.
Is she the challenger or the witness? She's testifying as his witness. Is she running this hearing? She don't have a right to
No,
decide.
sir, Mr. Ellison, I'm running this hearing.
She don't
And
have a right to do
I
that.
appreciate your objection,
Thank you.
but I was waiting for the motion in the middle of testimony, and I don't think she's, I'm gonna make a determination that I don't think she's testifying to Georgia law. But homestead exemptions in Georgia, and you can look right here, pertain to occupied owned property. Occupied owned property.
Mhm.
I
It's that
stip-
simple. It's that way
I
across.
stipulate to that.
Okay, then that's,
If that's the limit of what she's saying, I withdraw my objection.
Thank you, sir.
thank you.
Thank you.
That,
Do what?
I think that's sufficient for us to accept.
Okay.
These documents, not stipulating the law, but that we know homestead
That's right.
exemption
I
is occupied property.
I withdraw my objection.
Thank you, sir. These documents are recorded into evidence. Mr. Mile.
I will withdraw the question previously and ask instead. Did you find in your search of the Fulton County property records that Ms. Mosley, in more than 1 year, had filed what was called a homestead exemption?
So based on the public records and what I can find, the homestead exemption would have been when she first purchased the house. However, in 2024, she appealed the homestead exemption to lower the value of her property in an effort to lower taxes is usually what the purpose is for that. I cannot speculate
I'm
on what the
objecting
person
that
that
because unless you have actual knowledge that that's true, that is purely speculation.
I have the evidence.
If there are public records.
Mr. Mile, it's out in front of your table. It's right on the floor, right there in front of your table. I saw that, and I'm trying to help you find it. Thank you.
First of all, there should be no back and forth between Mr. Ellison and the witness. Second of all, if this body, if this board accepts these records, you can make your own interpretations of what they say. This witness would only be stating where she got it from and why it's relevant.
And Mr. Ellison, if you have a question or an objection, please direct it to me and then I'll deal with the
I
witness.
am directing, all my objections are directed to the chair. When she responds, I can't do anything about that.
I understand.
So I apologize to
No
you.
worries. Thank you. Thank you for that. But please continue with where you located these documents.
Okay.
And what it says.
Okay, on the Fulton County property records, the government website, which is also found at the top of the exhibit, it will show you the details of the property, photographs of the property records, the assessment notices that were all sent to the Georgia address. And then you will see the appeal history was done, and there was an appeal that took place in 2024 and in fact lowered the appraised value. Again, homestead exemptions are supposed to be for primary residence, owner occupied.
My objection would be that if we have something to show that this is a certified record from the Georgia tax books, then I think it could be admitted. But if it's going to be admitted for the truth of the matter, then we need some evidence that this is certification, because we know how records can potentially be manipulated and when people are making copies and bringing things. So are these certified records? Did she go to Georgia and go to the tax office, have them certify for her and give her this for evidence purposes only here at this hearing, which I still contend this is irrelevant for the purpose of residency in the city council election in the year 25-26.
According to the rules of evidence, official publications are what we call self-authenticating. So you have two questions as the board to consider. A is if you want to accept it into evidence. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, so the rules of evidence are relaxed. The second question is, if you do accept it into evidence, how much weight do you want to give it? So you can say, yes, we say it's evidence, but we give it 0% weight, or we give it 100% weight. So the board may choose to enter this document into evidence, but you may choose to give it little to no weight. So those are the two issues that you have to. But I believe that the board would be within its rights to accept this if that's what it chooses to.
Well, I will ask the board, would you like to have these documents accepted into record?
Yes.
You need to vote.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Documents will be accepted into record.
And do you want me to continue with John's question now, or?
John, do you have a separate?
No, we were going over the evidence that was from Fulton County that may contradict some of the earlier statements.
Does the challenged
person have copies of this?
Yes, they have
Document.
copies of everything that was submitted.
Do we have a copy of that? in
I
front of us?
can't say I have copies of anything. She indicated to you that the affidavit that she submitted, she made changes to it. So I don't know if the documents that she's talking to is additional information that was not submitted and we received. So I can't say I have these documents, but I would like to have them.
Nathaniel did share all of the documents. They're in a different order, but my understanding is he did send a copy to all the parties.
Okay, I'm gonna ask, talk to me, okay? And then we'll move forward, okay? Thank you. Do we still have a copy of what we're discussing?
It's there. We don't have it in our hands.
Do we need it back?
Yes.
May we have it back?
This is.
Yes.
I will say to this, the challenged and the challenger and this room. This panel is considering evidence only to be fair and equitable in our decision. The intent is to review the documents, look at what was shared by the challenged and what is being presented by the challenger. And then this panel will have a deliberation and discuss the points that we think are relevant to this question of eligibility. That is our role, and that's what we will do.
From my understanding, notwithstanding council's objection, is the homestead exemption discussion allowed?
Yes.
Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
Yes.
It is.
Oh,
Do you want me to continue with the other part of that question for Fulton County?
Ms. Boyd, were you in the room when Ms. Mosley made her opening statement?
Yes.
Did you hear or recall her saying anything to the effect that this is a single, narrow focus of residency, or words to that effect? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Okay. Did your research lead you to any clear idea of what her residence is, whether it's Fulton County, Georgia, where she maintained for a while a voting record, and for a while until this past December, and had the homestead exemption canceled retroactive back to 2016. And then you've seen the records of Buncombe County voting and deed records. We haven't gotten to that yet. Have you seen anything that is clearly going to tell us what her legal residence is?
Madam Chair, this is actually a question for the board. This is not, this would require, this is an opinion of this witness. This is
That's
the-
what I
this-
was just going to mention that. I couldn't
Okay.
speculate.
This is for the board to decide, not for this witness to decide. So if the board was so inclined to make an objection by the panel, you could do that. To the question.
So in a form of a motion, I would object to this form of questioning.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 I have an objection to the witness continuing to back and forth with, she's here to answer questions. She is not here to tell the board what she will say or what she won't say. And I think in fairness, she needs to focus on answering questions only.
That's what
I
we
don't
said.
disagree, and that's what the motion
what we
was
just said.
That's what we just did.
Okay. Ready to move on?
Yes, please. May I have the document?
Um, I'm going to leave that subject for just a moment and then introduce, don't know if I have to do these one at a time or all three, whether I have three exhibits, A, B, and C that are simply news stories. A being from the Asheville Watchdog on January the 9th. Exhibit B being WLOS Online, January 9th. And Blue Ridge Public Radio or BPR Exhibit C, January 9th. All three came out on the same day.
Okay, John, Mr. Mile, I'm gonna have to object to this because it's hearsay. It's a report in a newspaper and we can't
Okay.
determine the
All
authenticity
right,
of
we'll
the
scratch that.
information or the facts.
All right. Ms. Boyd, I'm not an attorney. I'm gonna do something I've been told attorneys normally don't do. I'm gonna ask an open-ended question. Is there anything else relative to your research over the last 8 or 10 days that we've not asked that you would consider relevant to the discussion of her residency?
I object to the broadness of that. If there's a specific question relevant to this hearing, that we can all understand the question that's being asked. This is a fishing expedition for a witness. I object.
Again, as is always, this is the board's determination. But this question does not seem to request specifically relevant evidence having to do with the issue of residency. So if Mr. Mile could tailor his question more specifically, I think you'd be in a better position to address an objection.
And I'd much rather have something that's provable than someone's opinion. So the board.
All right. One last question.
Mr. Mile, I'm going to ask you to hold for just a minute. I'm going to ask for a 5-minute recess. We shall return in 5 minutes.
Ready.
You gotta go to the bathroom. You can bring your plug for your machine.
Everyone's attention. We will resume proceedings as soon as Mr. Quinn returns.
This is.
Who is that? ATA?
Right, right.
Okay, what's she saying?
Good question.
Well, who is she? Okay, Michelle, I'll introduce her and meet her. And then, listen close,
Right, right, right.
focused
Because you know what?
on this young lady.
All right, so thank you. I apologize for the brief recess, but greatly appreciate your time and thank you both for allowing us to do that. I want to be considerate of everyone's time and I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. Mr. Mile, I believe we left off, we,
At least as presenting evidence goes, I think we're pretty much at the end. I have one question of the clerk, if I may. Did we enter into have we entered into evidence exhibit F, an affidavit from Heather Boyd? Let's do that, and I have one or two questions on that, and then we're pretty much wrapped up.
I'm going to.
Huh.
How's this all printed out?
Okay, Ms. Boyd, you prepared this affidavit prior to this meeting. It's your own work. I would call your attention to Roman numeral 6, which says mortgage occupancy certification. Will you read to the board items 22 and 23 under Roman numeral 6?
I just want to make sure that's good. Okay. So for the mortgage occupancy certification, based on public record through Register of Deeds and government entity sites in, let's see, there's mortgage documents signed by Ms. Mosley in December of 2016 for the Atlanta property containing an owner occupancy clause requiring the property to be occupied as her principal residence for at least 1 year and that she would occupy it within 60 days. This certification overlaps with a period in which Ms. Mosley was employed in Asheville, voted in North Carolina elections, and later relied on the residency. So again, this is just public record, not accusations.
Mile.
Did you, were you also in the room earlier today when Ms. Mosley testified about having her homestead exemption stopped and retroactive back to 2016?
Or 2018, I believe.
2018. Were you here for that?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna withdraw where I was going with that, and I'm just gonna finish up with this question about the mortgage occupancy certification. From your research, I'm not asking for a legal opinion, just your personal research. Does Ms. Mosley own a home in Fulton County, Georgia?
Based on public record, her primary residence is in Florida. There's not been any certificates or lien releases.
Madam Chair, I'm sorry to continually interrupt, but under Rule 902 of the Rules of Evidence concerning evidence that is self-authenticating, Rule 902 subsection 5 indicates that official publications such as book, pamphlets, or other publications purporting to be issued by a public authority are admissible, which is why the documents, because those purported to come from a public website, are a witness's synopsis of those same records would not constitute such a record. So if the board may take that into consideration when addressing this particular piece of evidence.
And again, the board has the authority to how we weight it and how we choose to handle the information. So, thank you. Mr. Mile, do you have any further?
Yes, and I'm not sure Ms. Boyd has this. I think she's seen it, but she may need to see a copy. It was part of Ms. Mosley's evidence introduced. Was a lease agreement for an apartment that I believe is dated June 30th. Did she not show that?
Yes, we had the lease document. We had the lease
Okay.
document.
And you have seen a copy of that lease agreement, correct?
I've seen a copy of a lease agreement that was dated June of 2025. However, I know there was conversation of that same unit prior to that date. So I just wanted to clarify, I haven't seen any prior leases.
But yet you've also seen and heard evidence in this hearing that as recently as now, Ms. Mosley continues to receive mail at 3 Devonshire Place. Is that correct?
Possibly, there's also a PO box
Objection.
listed.
Wait,
That's what she's listing as her mailing address. I assume she
I
gets mail
Jay,
there.
you asked her for her actual knowledge and she said possibly. That was the state testimony.
okay, we will have to not accept that statement. Possibly is not
All right,
evidence.
I think that's all the questioning at this time.
Mr. Ellison, I believe
Thank
it's
you.
your
Please,
turn to cross.
Appreciate it. Ma'am, let me ask you, is it against the law to own a home in more than one state?
I'm not certified to tell you what the law is.
Oh, all of a sudden you're not certified to
No, I
be
can
an
just go
answer.
based on
Can I
public
have that?
record and
Okay.
I don't have those records.
But actually,
Let's
your
move.
affidavit and all your testimony here, none of it is based on actual knowledge. It's only based on your opinion after reading public records and newspaper articles. Is that an accurate statement?
No,
Have you ever met Ms. Mosley before?
I have. Well, I've been, not personally.
Yeah. Have you ever been to her home at Devonshire?
No,
Are you aware that Ms. Mosley has been on the Asheville City Council for 2 terms?
I'm aware of what's in the news, which is not necessarily verified records.
Well, but you're testifying about it today about what's in the news.
No, I'm testifying on public records.
Well, let me ask you this. Tell this board, if you have such an objection to her standing, where were you in the last election and why didn't you file this protest then?
I am not a resident of Buncombe County, therefore I don't have any ability for that. And I'm also a neutral fact finder. I don't have any relevance. Either party.
Madam Chair, I think you have an objection to that question from the board.
Yes, I object to that line of questioning. I'd like to see if the board agrees.
I was just passing them back because we're done with that part of the.
Are we done with it? I mean, this is part of the time.
This is all gonna come back. We're gonna get all these.
So-
back.
This is gonna take a while to get through. That's a lot of information. There's time there.
So I object to the line of questioning that was just being presented from Council Ellison. I think that it was pretty clear that from the statement of the witness that she was taking her information from public record. And anytime that there was a question that looked like something she was going to need to weigh in on as far as her own personal opinion goes, we stopped
stopped it.
that. So I think it's pretty clear that she was here for the sake of presenting the public record evidence.
That's fine. Okay. So and my question centered around that. You have no personal, actual knowledge of none of that information that you read on the public records.
Well, I've read the public record, so I
But-
do have knowledge of it.
You have knowledge of what you read on the record, but do you have personal knowledge and have any certification that the knowledge, the information that you obtained is true?
My certification to show, my affidavit was signed because everything is true to the best of my knowledge and it's public record. So anyone in here could look it up. It also has the websites at the top if you need any assistance finding these documents.
And you're a resident of
Another county.
Transylvania County?
That is correct.
Okay. And a lot of your sources were also newspaper articles. Is that accurate?
My exhibits, there is exhibits for myself and
Your
along.
affidavit, ma'am. Some of the information, your affidavit is based on news articles.
Could you specify which
I
one
don't need
you're?
to specify. I'm asking
No,
you
my
specific
information
questions.
wasn't specified or based on news articles. No, it was based on facts.
Your articles also based on stories that you saw on television and your conversation with Mr. Miles. Am I accurate on that?
Are you talking about, that's not an exhibit list, that is just
I
a
don't answer
reference.
questions. I ask them, ma'am. You need
I
to-
don't understand what you're asking me, so
that-
if you could clarify exactly what you need,
Well,
I'm
here-
happy to answer.
Here's my clarification. You are here to testify as a witness for the challenger, Mr. Miles. Am I accurate?
I am here on behalf of Mr. Miles. I'm not here representing either side.
And you have no authentic personal knowledge of anything that you've offered this board. It has all been based on what you saw on the public record. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes, it's based on verified public records.
You realize that news articles are not proof and they're hearsay.
That is correct.
And you do realize that individuals can print documents, as we know in this country, that are not truth. And you don't have anybody here to testify that the information that you are providing, that you say.
Are you asking a question?
If you'll continue to listen to the
Madam
question,
Madam
is there
Chair, I'm
anyone
gonna
here to
have to
testify?
object. I'm gonna have to object.
What are you objecting to?
This witness
Can-
was asked to testify to the work she had performed, research, and the report she pulled from public records. That was the extent of everything I asked her. Nothing has been said about watching TV or reading news. I even dropped the news articles. We just said to heck with that. I'm not sure where this is going other than to berate the witness. I think at some point we just need to move on.
The right to cross-examination is
If
mine
you want to
and not Mr. Miles.
Oh,
cross-examination.
both of you stop. Stop. We're not gonna do this. Okay? It's my opinion, and I would ask the board theirs, that this witness testified and put it in a statement. It's an affidavit is typically notarized. So it's a statement of her research and public record. Public record is not the newspaper. It's not TV. It's not hearsay. It is public record. If I read something and it came from the state of Georgia website or the North Carolina Board of Elections, God help us all if we can't trust that document that comes from a public record. So I'm going to leave that statement where it sits. And when this board meets and deliberates, we will take into consideration how we weight the documents and how we treat the evidence. Okay? It's a statement of her research of public record, period.
Can I go?
Yes, sir.
Ma'am, do you have any evidence that Ms. Mosley abandoned her Asheville residence? That you know, actual knowledge.
I have not ever been to that property. I cannot confirm or deny what is there. The only thing I can say in support of that is based on Google aerial images The damage that was presented is your exhibits was also showing on the home in 2022.
Is the answer to my question no?
Rephrase your question again.
My question is, do you have any evidence of her intent to abandon 3 Devonshire?
I have presented the evidence I have regarding the residency.
I'm saying your actual knowledge.
No, I just go based on public records. I'm not giving an opinion.
Again, so
Well, I'm going to clarify because you can't testify to intent. She can't prove intent.
but you have to prove intent in order for you to be correct, because it's about the intent to abandon your residence. And so intent is actually the heart of the decision on whether she's abandoned her residence, with all due respect, Madam Chairman. That's under the North Carolina statute.
That's a true statement. Under 163-127.5, the candidate has the burden of proof. And if the challenge is based on a question of residency, the candidate must show all of the following: an actual abandonment of the first domicile coupled with an intent not to return to the first domicile. This is the first thing. Second thing is the acquisition of a new domicile by an actual residence at another place. And 3, the intent of making the new domicile the permanent domicile. But I do agree with the chair that this witness would not be able
She
to
can't speak
testify
to intent.
the intent of the candidate.
I know intent is in the law, but that was my point.
I don't want to give you a hard time.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so let me just finish up, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
She continues to own 3 Devonshire. Is that accurate?
Based on public record, yes.
And you are now aware from the testimony you've heard that that is her family home. You're aware of that?
Based on what's hearsay, yes. I haven't verified any documents prior to the home being in just her name.
Well, based on the evidence that's been admitted in this hearing, did you see the damage to her home from the storm?
Yes, I saw the pictures of evidence that also correlate with the 2022 aerial view on Google.
And did you hear her testimony that one of the reasons she had the apartment has to do with safety, has to do with habitability, and also mold concerns at this time? Do you understand that?
Oh, I understand anybody could have lots of safety concerns and other things, and I think it's in their best interest to do what's
And
best.
you understand that the apartment that she has is a temporary apartment and it is within the city of Asheville.
I do not know that it's temporary.
know
From
that-
today's hearing, it seems like it's gone back, but again, I don't know what the intent is. I do not follow her. I'm unsure where she stays every
Do
night.
you know it's within the city of Asheville? Do you know that?
Where she's staying now, yes, because you put the address on the affidavit in public
The
documents.
only question is, do you know that it is within the city of Asheville? That is my question.
Mr. Ellison, this has become a conversation between you and
I'm entitled to an answer to my question, and I've asked it, and I will quit. My question is simple. Are you aware that the apartments that she's temporarily in is within the city of Asheville? That's a fair question.
that's a yes or no answer.
Exactly.
I'm not familiar with city limits, no.
Okay.
Okay.
So you're not familiar with the city limits?
No, and I'm not implying that she does not live in the city at all. I'm just being honest. I don't understand the whole layout of Buncombe County.
Thank
So
you.
I
No
can't
further
testify to
questions.
something
No further
else.
questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Thank you, ma'am, for your testimony. Mr. Mile, do you have anything further? I guess at this point, since we've crossed.
No more witnesses.
Closing statements
No
at this
more
point,
evidence.
correct?
First, did the board admit the statement styled affidavit?
I don't think so.
So you need to, someone needs
that.
to move to do, or
I'd like a motion to,
Or you just said,
I recommend we admit the document into record.
the
The
affidavit, yes.
statement.
vote? Oh, everybody's, okay, so the
The
vote.
challenge goes first to a final.
And then I believe that Mr. Mile only had the one witness. Okay, then yes, move on to closing statements.
Mr. Ellison, Ms. Mosley,
Yeah.
would you like to offer a closing
Very
statement?
briefly, very
Yes,
briefly.
sir, please.
And just following this hearing, the challenger has admitted his allegations are speculative in his petition. He says may, based on newspaper articles that appeared in the paper in recent weeks, news stories that occurred in recent weeks.
We just allowed that,
He
Glenda.
says
We
in
just
his
allowed that.
petition, and you can refer to that, it says the candidate may not meet residency or eligibility requirements. There's no evidence at this time that has been presented. No one has testified with no actual knowledge of that. The reliance on multiple news stories, the reliance on multiple sources that are unidentified, reliance on few prints that have come from online, this is not evidence. This is admission of speculation. May not, that's not a legal standard. May not, more likely than not, may not, it's by the preponderance of evidence in this hearing. May not is not competent evidence. The challenger's own pleading concedes that uncertainty. News articles are not proof. News stories are hearsay, unsworn, not subject to cross-examination. They do not establish physical presence. They do not establish intent. They do not establish abandonment, and it doesn't show a new domicile. Allegations regarding multiple states and voting, absolutely irrelevant this hearing. Owning property is allowed. You can own more than one piece of property in 2 states. The issues in Georgia are Georgia's issue as to whether or not you've paid your tax properly. That's a Georgia issue. Going back to 2012, 2014, you can own multiple residencies. You can only have one domicile. The challenger offers no evidence of the abandonment of her Asheville resident. That goes to the heart of this.
Mr. Ellison, I'm going to have to call your comments. The light has turned to red. But thank you. It was a 2-minute closing statement.
But I had 10 seconds.
It went red.
We actually started a little late.
Please finish.
You know what? I am wrapping this up, man. My legal conclusion, the challenge is speculative on its face. The challenger admits no evidence at this time of filing. The media reports and online prints are insufficient. No proof of abandonment, no proof of a new domicile. The burden is not met. The challenge must be denied.
All right, thank you. Mr. Mile, are you ready for your closing comments?
Yes, I would offer in direct response to council that I was asked at the time I filed this challenge to say that she did or did not meet the statutory qualifications. I said, appears from recent news stories, may. Now, I was not definitive. I hadn't done any research at that point. I had no idea. It was the basis upon which we developed a lot of information. That said, my father was a very wise man. He observed once about someone in my life that said he would lie when the truth would serve him better. I'm not sure this is an outright lie or if it's just a freewheeling lifestyle. But Madam Chair, members of the board, at the close of this hearing, the issue remains narrow and unchanged. The respondent has offered explanations and statements of intent. Those are entitled to consideration. But the board's task is to weigh those explanations against contemporaneous, sworn, and recorded public records. The evidence shows a Georgia mortgage executed in December of 2016 affirming a Georgia property as a principal residence, no public record of lender notification or conversion to non-owner occupied status, a Georgia homestead exemption maintained for years afterwards, a rollback of that exemption only to the start of elected service, not earlier when it was originally claimed, and a lease executed months before public scrutiny. Despite a narrative of recent relocation under a preponderance standard, the board does not need certainty. It does not need to resolve every ambiguity. It must determine which account is more likely than not to be accurate. I'm done.
Thank you. We will now move into deliberation. I just have one initial question that concerns me the most.
Thank you.
Thank you. He's having a procedural thing, I think.
And Madam Chair and the board, both parties lobbed the burden of proof at each other. The burden of proof is on the candidate, however.
Thank you.
Speaking of burden of proof on the candidate, did we receive anything in evidence about tax records from Buncombe County on this?
Yes, there's, oh, I'm sorry.
Do you,
There's evidence.
is that in?
Exhibit F was the Buncombe County tax bill for 3 Devonshire
Right,
Place.
the tax bill. Okay, and did we don't have any Georgia tax bill, is that correct? In evidence?
The only information you have about Georgia tax is the Fulton County homestead removal.
Right. Okay. So would that have been an important piece for us to know? And would that be the challenger that would have presented that if there was a real problem with 2 residencies here? If we needed to ferret that out, I don't know if it would be or not.
For me, the question is, was a homestead exemption claimed in North Carolina and Georgia? And I don't know that I can ask that question.
And would it matter with regard to her, if you did have to, would it matter in this case about whether she can file or she can run anyway?
We can't live 2 places.
If it helps, under North Carolina General Statutes 163-57, residence is defined.
Right.
And there's case law that says for the purposes of election law, residence is domicile. As Mr. Ellison pointed out, sometimes you can have several residences, but only one domicile. But because the legislators have used the words interchangeably, the courts have had to step in and they have determined that residence is domicile. So for that purpose, 163-57 entitled Residence Defined for Registration and Voting, all election officials in determining the registration of a person offering to register or vote, which of course applies to candidates, shall be governed by the following rules. The place shall be considered the residence of a person in which that person's habitation is fixed, and to which, whenever that person is absent, that person has the intent of returning. And sub A to that, I think, is relevant. In the event that a person's habitation is divided by state, county, municipal precinct, ward, or other election district, then the location of the bedroom or usual sleeping area for that person with respect to the location of the boundary line at issue shall be controlling as the residency of that person.
Which we don't really have that kind of information.
We don't have any evidence that
it's-
she was not sleeping in her domicile here in Asheville during this period. There's no evidence. Is there?
No, we just have this one rental agreement, but that doesn't really tell us that where she's sleeping, so.
Well, she's still in Asheville.
She's
And
still in
that
Asheville.
that qualifies her to
Well,
run city
she,
council.
still a domicile would be her house where her address is, but,
Right.
but I don't think we have the evidence
But
anyway.
it was, she's having a hardship with her home because it was damaged during Helene.
It was damaged prior to that.
Prior to Helene.
Yeah.
Prior? How much prior?
2022.
2022?
Yes.
Well,
According to the
What we heard,
That's what I was talking about. The timelines are very fuzzy here. That's why I was waiting to hear more testimony about timelines and when things happened. And, going through this is a little bit laborious. Verbally, timelines are important.
Where do we have the 2022 information? That was just I
That was
think that
just
was
in
just what,
Last,
I'd like to see that again.
it's in the affidavit.
Oh, it's in the affidavit.
That's
And what
just-
did the affidavit say about the 2022?
I'm not even sure. It just said it was consistent with aerial photographs taken in 2022.
Yeah, I don't know that
And I
that's,
haven't seen more than one set of photographs, so.
yeah, right. I haven't seen those.
If I may, colleagues, we have one question to answer. And that is whether or not, in the eyes of this board, Ms. Mosley is a resident of the city of Asheville. Because if she is eligible to run for city
If
council.
it's her domicile, from what I heard just now in the
Right.
law, there is a
And-
difference
and
between
what-
residency and
And
domicile.
what we heard from Ms. Mosley is that 3 Devonshire Place is her domicile, that is the permanent place where she intends to live. Right now, she has alternative quarters, and she gave us a number of reasons for those. But the
Intending-
question
but
remains,
wait, but
does she live in
intending-
Asheville?
Intending doesn't give me much information. I mean, that doesn't say anything.
Intending is what the law says. For example, college students are asked that question. Are you going to register at school, or are you going to remain registered at home? And it comes down to the individual's intent. And intent is very subjective. I agree that we can't really measure it easily, but we have to accept it for what it is. And I'm a resident of the city. Ms. Mosley is here. I see it with my own eyes from time to time. And so I really want to get down to the question for this board. Does Ms. Mosley maintain her domicile in the city of Asheville? It is really that simple, because if she does, she is eligible. So when we can look back as far as we want, we can look at timelines all we want, but the question is about today. It's not about the past. And I'll let all those questions about the past come up in the course of a campaign.
So I'm going to ask a question.
Should we determine she'd be eligible?
Unhelpfully, as usual, the law does not give a deadline. It just gives you the 3 elements: actual abandonment of the first domicile, which I guess you could assume would be the Georgia house, coupled with an intent not to return to the Georgia house as the domicile. Second, the acquisition of a new domicile, which would be Devonshire. And then third, the intent of making Devonshire the permanent domicile. And I would also, Miss Mosley submitted an affidavit from a neighbor, which you may find helpful too. So, but yes, unfortunately, intent is the big question here.
The state of Georgia may have some problem with applying for homestead exemption for the property in Atlanta or Georgia, but that's their issue. It's not ours.
That's correct.
Amen.
And
Well,
I
and
don't know if she she planned to go back. back and live there later, or whether she's rented, or is it just
Sitting there.
Yeah, it's
really not our.
it's
our
really not.
purview
That's
Well,
right.
and
or our business, unless she's claiming it as her domicile.
evidently she's claiming Asheville residence.
So I don't have a problem with that issue.
my opinion,
The
for
state
what
of
it's
Georgia
worth,
might.
is that when you moved home to help with your family and your parents, you moved home. And it was your home, and it became your residence, and things transacted over a period of
To
time.
us. You're
I'm
supposed to-
sorry, has
not her.
transacted over a period of time. But you live here.
But she lives here.
She lives here.
We need to be talking to each other.
I'm sorry.
She's not part of this conversation.
I'm sorry.
She's still voting in 2 states.
I don't think that's the question in front of us.
No, I would have appreciated if we had had from one or the other parties any record from Georgia about taxes, but we didn't. So
Is there any further discussion?
by the board.
Madam Chair, I think
ma'am.
there's a great deal here to be concerned with. But my issue is what we need to be concerned with. I can't find evidence. There seems to be a possibility of where you're claiming a primary residence. I don't think there's an issue with where you have been living.
Talk to us.
So yeah, I think your domicile is in Asheville. There's a lot of other issues that might be dealt with in other places.
Are we ready, board, to call the question?
Yes.
May I have a motion, please, Mr. Quinn, since you like to do that?
I'll call the question. I'll call the question.
All right, Ms. Blossman?
I think we should vote on whether her residency
Okay,
allows her to.
I will make a motion to deny the challenge.
Okay.
Do I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries and this hearing is over.